This is 1982, and the show Pacific Report is doing their first broadcast ever on the subject of AIDS, a completely unknown, hugely scary phenomenon that changed immeasurably the gay community in this city, all around the world, indeed our whole attitude towards sexual practice.
And that is very good for me, not to feel that I'm a leper, that I have not been shunned, I haven't been treated as a second-class citizen, because I'm not. I'm a good citizen, but I happen to have a disease.
You know, the question I guess is really being asked is, why aren't I more conspicuously different? And I think that touches on one of the most interesting things that's happening with the gay community generally. Do we want to be integrated? Do we want to be separate?
Yes, I am gay, and I'm proud to be a part of a community that is really a community of very beautiful men and women. When I could have been and should have been saying we and us and me and I, it's been they.
Around the late 80s, I got involved with a gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender television show, which had been started back in the early 80s, I believe, called Gablevision.
Gablevision got scarring everyone.
And it morphed into Prism, and that went on for about 10 years, and it morphed into Outlook, which remnants of still exist today on Shaw Cable.
If they take and if they blow our business apart, I promise you the next day, if we can do it, we'll be on the street with a little card table and we'll be selling our books, and we'll be openly gay and proud about it, you know.
In 1990, the Gay Games came to Vancouver, and I remember this very vividly because when you walked downtown in the city then, the streets were full of men holding men's hands, women holding women's hands, and it was the heady experience of feeling for once, just for a short time, that you were in a majority.
It was a 12-year struggle, and it was a tough struggle, but it was also a rewarding struggle. And in 1992, lo and behold, I was the first openly gay person to be ordained in Canada, and that, for me, was a wonderful day, a wonderful achievement. But it said an enormous amount about the United Church of Canada.
I think it's just so important that we as a community, we as a bookstore, we as people who care about these freedoms in our country, it's something that we have to care about every day.
This is our first issue of Extra West from 1993. Preview issue, brought it out in time for the Pride Festival. 5,000 copies snatched up. We're at 30,000 now, so that's a difference a decade can make.
Davie Village is a 24-hour operating area of the city. There are nightclubs, bars, restaurants, 24-hour supermarkets, shopping centers, everything you could imagine and more. We are marketing this area to the international community around the world, and it's getting attention, and we're drawing more and more people into the city all the time.
We're lucky to live in a country that is as supportive of our rights as Canada has been, but all levels of government have a lot of work to do. Federally, they've got to simply come to terms with what equality means under the Charter and get ahead with same-sex marriage. They've got to stop using criminal law discriminatorily against gays and lesbians, including the body house laws, obscenity laws.
Transsexuals are still not included under human rights protection.
We have a thing called the notwithstanding clause, and I hate to tell you, but I'm hearing about it again, and I said it would be a negative thing, and it still is.
They have to do a much better job with safety for kids in school.
Then there's also the fragmentation that comes from bigotry within our community, and I think that that's something that we all have to work to overcome.
We're all one, and we should be all striving for the same thing, equality. Same rights as every other citizen in this country.
It's important to me to see that we are represented in the Charter of Rights as a viable minority and not limited in those rights, excluded from making families. We do make families. We are families. Many of us have children. We need to be full members of the society in order to be responsible members of the society.
But we were largely invisible and largely silent. And that's what's changed. We're a community that's out and proud. We're a dynamic part of the city of Vancouver. We're affirmed by the leadership of the city of Vancouver at all levels. We have out gay and lesbian politicians like Tim and Ellen and Libby Davies at the federal level, Lauren and others, and so that makes a huge difference. And I think Vancouver should feel a real sense of pride on the 35th anniversary of Stonewall that it was in fact some of the drag queens in the early days and some of the people that were prepared to stand up and be visible and be counted that led to the liberation that we feel today.
Well, in 1970 to 75, we wouldn't have even been able to imagine the society discussing legalizing gay marriage.
No,
no,
and we certainly would never imagine that City Hall was going to be doing an event to honor lesbian gay history in Vancouver.
No, exactly.
I say to everybody in the community, we have a lot to celebrate. We have a lot to work on, but there's a great sense of solidarity. There's a great sense of community spirit about what we do. We have great allies in the straight community. So, it's good to look back and it's good to move forward to the struggles that we still have.
It's a two-way street to Harmony Avenue. You got acceptance for me, I got acceptance for you.